The history of the world is full of incredible civilizations, each one appearing out of nowhere and dominating the known world in their time. The pharaohs of Egypt, the Greeks, the Romans, the Andalusians, and modern Europeans all stand out as incredibly advanced for their time, each one leaving behind a legacy that has shaped our world today. But what if there was more to their rise to power than just being in the right place at the right time? What if each of these civilizations learned from the mistakes and successes of those who came before them, eventually creating a world that was vastly different because of it? Let's start with the most obvious example, the Greeks and the Romans. The ancient Greeks are often heralded as some of the most intelligent people that have ever lived. Their contributions to mathematics, science, philosophy, and art are legendary. For hundreds of years, they dominated the known world, pushing the boundaries of human achievement. But as the centuries passed, their empire crumbled and their way of life was all but forgotten. Or was it? Enter the Romans. The Romans were a practical people. They took what the Greeks had done and built upon it. They adopted Greek architecture and sculpture and made it their own. They studied Greek philosophy and made it a part of their everyday lives. They even copied the Greek system of government and made it work for their larger empire. In doing so, the Romans preserved and spread Greek culture throughout the Mediterranean, ensuring that it would not be forgotten. This cultural exchange between Greece and Rome had a profound impact on the course of history. It led to the Renaissance, which was inspired by classical Greek and Roman art and literature. It also helped to shape the Western world's view of antiquity and influence the development of modern democracy. But the story doesn't end there. The influence of Greece and Rome didn't stop with the Renaissance. It continued all the way to modern Europe. Many of the ideas and innovations of the Greeks and Romans are still used today. For example, the Roman system of roads is still the basis for many modern road systems. And the Greek and Roman emphasis on civic duty and public service is still an important part of Western culture. In fact, when we look around us today, we can see the influence of Greece and Rome everywhere. The Colosseum, for example, is still one of the most iconic buildings in the world, and Greek and Roman art and sculpture are still studied by artists today. Even the English language is full of words from Greek and Latin, but the story of Greece and Rome is not just about influence. It's also about change. The Greeks and Romans were not static cultures. They evolved and changed over time, and this is one of the most important lessons that we can learn from them. The Greeks, for example, went from being a small group of city-states to being a large empire. And the Romans went from being a small Italian tribe to ruling the Mediterranean. This kind of change is inevitable. And the Greeks and Romans were able to adapt and change while still preserving their culture. But perhaps the greatest lesson we can learn from the Greeks and Romans is the importance of balance. The Greeks were great at philosophy and the arts, but they weren't so good at practical things like engineering. The Romans were the opposite. They were great at engineering and building projects, but they weren't so good at philosophy. By learning from each other, they were able to create a society that was well-rounded and balanced. And this is something that we can all learn from. We all have our strengths and weaknesses, and we need to learn how to balance them. The influence of Greece and Rome on the Western world is undeniable. Their ideas, innovations, and art have shaped our world in big and small ways. But perhaps the most important thing that we can learn from them is the importance of balance. When we are able to learn from others and adapt, we create a better world for ourselves and future generations. Thanks for watching.